Welcome to Rustic Cottage Co. I'm Julie and I hope you like my Facebook page Rustic Cottage Co, my group Rustic Cottage Co and my YouTube channel Rustic Cottage Co. This video is to inspire you. Please give the thumbs up, like, tell your friends and pass the word on. That will help my business. I much appreciate the time you're taking to enjoy this video. Please keep watching and let me know what you think in the comments. And thank you again for watching Rustic Cottage Co. from Julie. Have a great day. Enjoy the movie. Okay, so I started on this piece, which was kind of funny because I'm painting the middle of this black, and I'm thinking, why am I not recording this, as I'm going to do something a little bit different on this piece, and why not show you guys? So I kind of already put the black in the middle. As you can see, it's still wet and drying, but it pretty much is in some bad shape. I just kind of stored here and a few items on top because a piece that was here that had those items on actually sold, so I needed a place for them. Anyway, let's move on. It's kind of, I don't know, I'm hoping I'll be able to, the top here, sand back, but they've got some pretty thick, I don't know, very thick glossy paint on this piece, so I'm going to try and sand back the top. And then, as I say, I've painted the black in the middle here, and the rest of it, I am not doing it white, so that's why I'm kind of recording this one. So it's not going to be the same as all the other pieces I've been doing recently. It's going to be a little bit different, so I'm going to kind of work on this one and you're going to come along with me. And I have an idea, have a vision. Maybe it'll turn out into the vision I see, or maybe partway through I'll change it up a little or get some new ideas. So as I go along, I think this is going to kind of come to life. I've done one coat of the black, and usually it only takes one coat, but I find I have to kind of just check if I just went a little bit shallow in any of the areas with my brush strokes, but generally the black does one coat. So I'm just going to wait for that to dry. So I needed brown chalk paint, and what I did was a mix, and I had a little bit of this here, Summer Crush. It's a DIY chalk paint. I had a little bit left in the bottom, and when I opened it up, it was solid, totally solid. I'd been there a long time. So I put some warm water in and stirred it around with a fork, as you can see a little bit. And then I added a little bit of the Bohemian Blue DIY paint to it, and it came out, as you can see because I splashed it everywhere, a very dark green, and that's not what I wanted. I wanted a brown. So I figured I would add some red to it, and I used this acrylic paint, this holiday red acrylic paint. I added that to it, and I ended up finally, as you can see on this fork, finally getting a brown. And so then I got ready to paint the outside of this cabinet. Covered the outside of this cabinet in the brown, and it's dried, looking like a muddy brown colour. And you can see bits of the Summer Crush, and you can see all sorts coming through. But it's kind of what I wanted. This is my base coat, and I wanted it to look muddy and old and vintage. And it's still got to dry, as you can see, needs some drying, but it's exactly what I wanted, so that was kind of fun to do. So I did the outside and the inside of the doors and the outside of the doors. Also, I have sanded the top, and next I'm going to be cutting this trim here. I'm going to be cutting this off and putting some grooves in to make it look like barnwood. So I'll be doing that next, and we'll get on with the rest of it. So that's what this one piece is at. Did the brown one coat, undercoat of the outside and the doors, and sanded down the top of it today. So I'm just getting ready for doing the next part, the chalkboard area on this piece. I do this next because then I can seal the whole thing to get onto the next part. You'll see as I go along what I mean by that. So on this chalkboard, I'm going to be using the letters, the IOD stamp letters. They have the regular ones. I don't know what they called them. I can't remember. It was a few years ago I purchased them, and then I believe the more recent ones I purchased were swoosh. I can't remember either. Anyway, the IOD letter stamps. You can look that up. That's what I'll be using, and my inspiration is going to be coming from this piece here that I did previously, and that's what I'm going to be putting on the front of this. I have done this before in a video, so in the description I'll be putting the link of how I actually did this. So, just because my videos get a little bit long sometimes and repetitive, and you can just go back to a different video and see exactly how I do the lettering. So I've just finished putting the letters on, and now I'm going to let it dry and then go back in and sand down to make it more look like chalk on a chalkboard rather than paint on paint. And the sanding is what gives it a big difference. And then we'll get on with doing the clear coat all over that so that I can get the top coats on. Well, I wasn't expecting it, but it's a great thing that happened. My friend popped over today and managed to cut the grooves in the wood so we can do some fake plank, and so I can get on with doing the top now. So cut off the decorative end to give it more of a plank end, a straight edge. I didn't want it decorative. So now I can get on with the top, and I'll be using the grey and the brown glaze on this so I can get going. So I've put the clear coat on everywhere. Just check the runs here, got a couple of runs. Make sure you don't have any. So the top is going to be dry, lighter than it is right now. So that will be coming soon, and then I'll put a second coat on. I like to put 2 to 3 coats on the top just because it'll be well used, and it's a coffee bar, so even liquids and things, it'll be on it. So I'll put 3 coats over time on the top. The chalkboard chalk is now finished. I think that looks good, and then the rest of it I will be putting the last top coat colour on, 2 coats all over the frame and the sides, and that will be done next, and then it'll be finished. Okay, so I'm going to get on to doing the top coat on this, and I wanted to go with a colour this time, and one of my favourites is, I don't know if you can see, the DIY paint is my favourite paint, and one of my favourite colours is this one, which was Apothecary. But as you can see, it's dried up, and even if I put some water in there and loosened it all up, I still wouldn't have enough anyway. And the issue with this is my favourite paint. If I can get this easily, I would use it all the time. Even though it is more expensive, it goes on so much easier and better that you need less coats than the cheaper paint. But unfortunately for me, my problem with this paint is that where it's located to purchase, the closest being on Vancouver Island for me, which would be $20 shipping just added on to this product cost. Also, there's another place that I know of that does it in Ontario, lovely lady Denise, but also the shipping from there to here would probably be very similar for this. So that, to me, when I'm selling products, to add a $20 shipping for one thing is not justifiable. If I was putting in a big order and paying the $20 shipping, that would be a little different, but for one product and then have to wait for it is not justifiable for me. So I went to Home Depot and asked them to match the paint. I asked them to match it in my usual Rust-Oleum paint brand that I like to use instead of this, and they couldn't do it. But they did say I could match it, and they did match it in this product. Now, I have used it once before, I believe, a while back, and I wasn't impressed. And also, I haven't seen much goods that people have reviewed on this. But I'm giving it one more chance, as I would love to have this colour on this piece. And I also have two other pieces that I would like to do in this colour, so I wanted to pick it up today. So I'm going to try with this today with you guys, working with this product and see how it goes. We'll compare it to the Rust-Oleum that I'm used to. Obviously it's not going to compare to this. It compares in colour, of course, but in quality it does not compare. But the price difference, this, I can't remember what I paid, but it's the most expensive I've paid for paint so far. And also the added cost of the shipping being, then it is the most expensive for me to get. The Rust-Oleum being one of the cheaper products and the easiest for me to get is my go-to. This is actually the cheapest chalk paint I can buy. Now, that being said, if I have to add extra coats and it's not doing what I want it to do, especially the wet distressing part at the end, then it's not worth it for me. But I'm going to try it today. We're going to do it together. I am going to use this product on this piece and work with it and go with its ability. But we'll review it together and see what we think at the end. So I kind of added this onto this piece. I wasn't sure I was going to go with this product, but let's have some fun with it. Alright, so I'm going to go with a method I have used before, but it's been a long time, so I'm going to go over the steps of this one, and I'm using the pure petroleum jelly. It's basically a Vaseline product. So I'm going to put this on first. Now this is going to go on first. I've already clear coated this, and it's going to be a barrier. Everywhere I put this on with my fingertips, when I go to put the top coat paint on, the paint won't adhere to the actual piece. So well, let's get going. It's very simple. I don't know why I'm kind of explaining it really complicated here, but it's not complicated. So let's get going. I'm just literally putting some on my fingers and then start in the corner, get some on the corner, and just use your fingers to rub it down. You want it to go along the top, and then just use your fingers to rub it down. You want it quite thick because the thickness of the actual chalk paint itself can rub some of it away. Try and put it in the corners mostly, in random places too. If you find you have too much, you can always paint over later once you've rubbed off the petroleum, but it's hard to redo it, you know. Along the edges, and then at the bottom here, do it in the corners again and up. And then some just literally just in the middle. Try and get it random, fairly thin in places. You don't want blotchy, but you don't want it to be rubbed away either. And then I'm going to put some on the bottom part here, on the actual base of it, the baseboard of it, what we call in England the skirting. And then I've got some on my fingers here, so I'm just going to rub some off on the sides here, get some off my fingers. Just to show you the next step I am doing. So the next step I'm going to be using, and it's a product again I've used before, is it's a crackle effect, and I like this one even though it's cheap from the dollar store. I like the weathered wood crackle. So this one is already open. Let's see if it's okay to use. I've got other ones here if it's not. I'm going to use just a random paintbrush here and stick it in, see how, if I've got any left. Yeah, I got some left. And this I'm going to just put in places that I don't have the petroleum jelly. Just randomly in areas that there is no petroleum jelly at all. And that will hopefully get some crackle effect going. And some on the baseboard too, as again, what I would call the skirting. I'm just doing a panel at a time, just so that you have more control over what you're doing. Now the crackle effect I find works best not when it's fully dry, but when it's just tacky dry. So what we're going to do next is get our colour and paint our top coat, and we'll need 2 coats. So I have just finished putting on the coat of paint on this product here, the colour Apothecary Match from DIY Paint, and it is a lot more runny, this liquidy paint. It was so smooth to go on. I loved painting it on, but whether it'll have the same effect as I'm used to being, I'm used to a thicker, chalkier paint, is yet to be seen. But it was nice, actually fun to paint it with it because it's so smooth. Now I know a lot of you say, well, did you stir it good? Well, I did. As I've just picked it up from the store, just had it made. They actually had the machines and they shook it and everything else, so it's stirred as best it can be professionally from the store. So yeah, it just is a lot more thinner product than I'm used to. So let's see what happens with that. Now there's a lot of drying time going to go onto this piece and touch-ups and everything else, and obviously once it's fully dry I have to wipe off the petroleum jelly. So the effect is not there completely yet, but I just wanted to show you how well it crackles. We've got some crackling in different places. And I just wanted to show you how well and why I love this crackle medium. I've done all sides, including the doors, and here you go, some more of the crackle. I just love how it just naturally, as soon as it starts drying, crackles just lovely. And I'll show you on different parts here just how nice it crackles. And as I say, it's still got some drying time to do, some fun stuff. I've got to wipe off the petroleum jelly, and then I've got to do some touch-ups of areas that I want to just look a little bit more professional. But right now, it's just going to dry. So this is now dry, and what I'm going to do is go over with a dry cloth and just wipe away the areas that I have the petroleum jelly before it gets too dry. And just rub those areas, which was a lot of the corners, the edges, and just pretty much all over. And just gonna keep rubbing away, and just this is the kind of effect I'm looking for. So I'm going to do the whole thing and then I'll show you what it looks like next. I'm loving the look of this piece. It's still got lots more to do, but what stage I'm at right now is more than pleasing of what I wanted to achieve. So I'm going to just show you what stage we're at, what it looks like, and that brown colour I mixed together underneath, it's perfect colour. Just love it. And the crackle, love that too. And if I bring you around to this side here and just show you where we're at, it's just looking amazing. As I say, got lots more to do. But if you notice down here in this corner, I wasn't able to wipe off at all. So I'm going to try and wet distress back. So I've got a damp cloth and I'm going to try and do some wet distress. And I'm just going to see how easy with this paint it is to wet distress. So I'm just holding the camera here and just doing it because I didn't realize how, oh, it comes off really easy. Look at that. So actually this paint, if I can show you here, this corner, just rubbing just a little. Look how easy that is. That's even easier than the Rust-Oleum. So I'm liking that. Maybe I'm going to be a converter. I don't know. But I'm liking that. Look at that. And I'm just going to do some more right here. Oh, wow. Yep, no, I'm really happy with that, guys. You're literally seeing me happy as it's coming together. Just a little bit more up here. And yeah, that's come along nicely. I'm just going to do a little bit. You see that here? It's just a break that just isn't natural break. So I'm just going to put some here. And there we go. Loving it. So far, I'm quite liking this paint. Anyway, with more to go, let's do the next step. So the next step, I'm going to use a glaze, which I have used before. This one is brand new. Just show you here. It's a Rust-Oleum product. It's chalked it says, but it's a smoked glaze, which this one is a grey base. And it's brand new, so I've just got to take the top off here. And what I'm going to be doing is just using the lid right now with a small cheap brush. Just get a little bit on my brush and I'm just going to dab it along the top. Just do a section at a time. And then I get my fingers and I pull it down. I think I need a little more. So I'm just going to dab. That's better. Get it quite wet there. Along. And then pull down. And then when you've pulled down, keep going down. Don't pull more from the top, just pull more from the actual what you've pulled. So get quite a bit on your paintbrush, dab it at the top, do a section at a time, and then just pull some of it down. When you've done that, then where you've pulled down from, pull more. And just go along, doing that along the top and also the bottom and the sides. So just dab along. And then just with your fingers just pull down. And then from there pull further down until it's dry. Right to the end. lots on the corners. Use your fingers, pull down. And then continue to pull. Very random. Don't pull more from the top, you need that at the top. Actually, I'm going to just go in with my brush and just dab in a little more at the top. And as I say, I'm just going to do the sides, and I'm going to just do the bottom here too. Let me just pull you down to the bottom. The same. So here, in here, just going to dab in here, heavier in the corners, and then with your fingers pull up and then pull over. Make sure you go kind of all the way along the edges in the corners and just pull along, up and down, and just keep going along here the same, and then pull up and then pull down, and do this corner and just go all the way around. As I say, more in the corners, less in the middle. A little more in this corner here, and pull up. As it's drying, pull down. And then we'll get to the next side. So the last stage before I put the clear coat on, I use a second glaze, and this one it's an aged glaze, Rust-Oleum the same, and this one's a brown base, and I use the grey for depth and the brown for age. That's why I did brown underneath, because brown kind of gives an aged look rather than black is modern, brown is more aged, and grey gives depth. So I'm going to try with the same brush, but I may use a bigger brush, we'll see. Again, just putting some on the brush, starting in the corners, thicker, and just dabbing it on. Now I want to put more brown than I did with the grey. Now the same effect. Pull down with your fingers and then don't touch the top again, just carry on pulling down from where you pulled, so it drags it all the way. And it works really well right now, as maybe a little gross, but it's hot out here, so my fingers are a little kind of sweaty hot, so the little bit of dampness on my hands is helping pull it down. So I don't know if that grosses you out, but that's okay. So I'm just going to pull, and I think I want some more from that corner. I want it more than that. Again, some more on, pull down, and then pull from there. And we're going to go right along, not as thick in the middle, but all the way along, and just pull down from the top with just your fingers, and then pull that down as far as it wants to go, till it stops pulling. If you find it too thick in places, you can use a damp cloth and just pull it back, but because my fingers, as I say, are a little damp right now, I'm not finding I need that. And I'm going to just dab just the top here, just to break up the top, and then pull down. And just break it up a little. And there you go, that gives that aged, kind of like it's been in a little bit of water damage, age damage kind of look. I'm going to do the sides and I'm going to do the bottom. So I'm just going to start on the bottom corners, the same as I did the top corners, get them darker, and then the middle part not as dark. And the same as we did with the grey. I'm just going to bring it down so you can see what I'm doing here. I'm just going to pull it up because I want most of it up, and then some of it down. And the same with the pulling the down. Keep pulling down till it stops pulling down. And with the up, keep pulling up till it's no colour to pull. I'm just going to do a little bit more just on this edge here, just along here, and pull down just to give it some aged look on the end. And then I'm just going to do this all the way through and just give it that aged look. After this is completely dry, which in this weather doesn't take too long, and I will put a clear coat on and it's all finished. I'm Julie from Rustic Cottage Co. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and thumbs up. Thank you.